The third usage for Honsha is sending while treating. Yeah, this is a powerful way to treat a person, right? When we are treating, you do the 12 body position treatment, where we put our hand on our own body when we do our own self treatment, or we do put our hand onto the on the recipient. So while you're doing that, we can also send energy into at the same time concurrently. We also can send the Reiki energy into the body. When you put your hand onto the body, right? At the same time, you can use a symbol to send more energy into the body. So example, right? When we are doing the hand, we can also send Reiki to the we call it the forefront head, the forehead or front or 12 body position during the hands-on treatment. Yeah. So again, this can be done both on yourself and also others. That means you can this additional sending while treating. The concept of sending while treating can be done both on yourself and others. Yeah? So it's better that we apply this technique, right, to the person who already done a few times of the hands-on treatment from us. For example, right, when we started 12 body position treatment, the 1 hour treatment for a recipient, right? The first couple of times, it's best to just do a normal, I would put it like normal vanilla 12 body position, and don't do the setting. But once you are familiar, they're familiar with the energy getting into the body, and you think that you want to kind of accelerate more energy into the treatment, then you can do the additional sending. So let me explain to you how it works, right, for this sending. So when we start, we can just start it as like a usual normal session. That means exactly like how you do the 12 body position treatment. And then just before we start putting our first position on the head, right? That means before you do the head. So if you can recall, I'm not going through the 12 body position again, but the example here. So before you put your first hand position on the face, right? Example here, you basically draw and visualize the 3, 2, 1. So you do a 3, 2, 1, Honsha, Seike. So imagine the hand on the face, right? Honsha, Seike, and Shokere, right? So you send it over to the person's third eye. So you look at the third eye, you send it 3, 2, 1. So you basically connect to the person, right? Then you place the hand on the face. Yeah, place the hand on the face, right? And then you say in your thoughts the name of the face. That means, let's say, for example, I do it for my daughter Megan. So Megan's face now correspond to her forehead position. Or you can either do forehead position. That means at one point you do forehead, or you can even do corresponding to the 12 body position. So imagine when you do it once, it's like 4x, right? 4 times, because every time you do one treatment, at the same time, this also send into the 4 body position. So it's like 4 times 4, right? So it's very powerful, right? And you can even do a 4 times 12. So if you do an hour treatment, right? An hour 12 body position, and you do 4, you send it to the 4 body position, right? That means the forehead position is like you get 4 times, additional 4 times of the of the treatment. Yeah. So after 3 to 5 minutes, right, you move this hand to the other position. That means after the face, then you move it to the head, right, and then to the top of the head, and then at the same time, when you move to the one hand, right, when you move it to the second position, right, then you start saying again, you move it and then you start saying again, the top head position, the top head of Megan Liao now correspond to her forehead position. Yeah, like I mentioned, right, you can be forehead position or 12 body position, right? After you finish the forehead position, right, that means you do the face, you do the top, and then you do the back, and then do this one the same way, correspond to corresponded to the forehead position, right? Then after the forehead position is done, you place the hand on the chest, right? On the chest, yeah. Right. And then you mentally say again, Megan's, the name of the recipient, chest now corresponding to her 4 body position. Yeah. You can also, like I mentioned again, you can do a 4 body position or you can do a 12 body position. Yeah. And after the four front body position that you have done, right? And then now you do the back, right? And then the same goes when you touch the person on the shoulder, example the shoulder, and then you say now and you say it mentally now, Megan's shoulder now corresponding to his back body position, yeah, 4 back body position, yeah. So you will continue in this fashion until we done the 12 body position, and then you say thank you, and then we ground ourselves. So the whole position is still the same like how we do the 12 body position. It's just that we add in additional standing while doing the 12 body position. Yeah, and normally for me, because when I do my own body position, when I do my own treatment, right, I like to relax. I like to just take my neck. So, but when you do the standing, you always has to be alert, right? Because as you move, you have to start chanting you have to start doing the standing like 3, 2, 1, and then every time you do the 3, 1, it goes into the once you connect. No, actually once you connect already, right? You connect once, but then you have to keep on when you move, right? You keep on have to mention the movement of where it corresponds to, right? So of course you connect once, and then when you move, you have to mention. So it kind of, for me, it kind of disrupt my the calmness for me. But so again, it depends if you feel that you need that power dose, right? The what you call it, the enhancement dose, right? Then it's good to do it. Or sometimes when we were doing treatment, like for example, we do a treatment for practices where we went to the NASAM that we treat this stroke patient, right? So sometimes there's many of them, so we only can give like 15-20 minutes, right? So this is also a good additional kind of booster, to boost up the energy, right? So instead of 15, in the end, they definitely get more than 15, right? Because if we do the sending of the correspondent of the position, then they will get the booster. It will be 4 or 5 times, right? The 15 minutes will be equivalent to more than an hour for them to receive the Reiki energy. So again, like I said, you practice and see what makes what you're comfortable with, and then you can use it accordingly. So this is a third usage of the Honsha. That means sending while treating ourselves or another person, right? Yeah. And just a short reminder before I move into the fourth usage. Reiki is actually not limited by time, and it works actually very well at our cellular level. So you can heal, you can heal the past emotion, trauma, and also it can work on the future, right? So that's the reason why we always also use the protection phrase, to give protection to the people. So the fourth one is actually sending it to the past. Yeah. So what we mean by, in most people, we do have issue in the past. I mean, for example, there are people who have some trauma during their childhood. It could be a rape, it could be molest from a stranger, from some family. I'm sure you hear it on that. And then there's also some people who could not get over the death of their loved ones, so they have been grieving, and some people can grieve for days, some people can grieve for months, some people can grieve for years, right? So this is some of the example that happened in the past, but they cannot get it over with. Or sometimes when they're young, they have been mistreated by it could be by their own mom, or it could be by stepmom, it could be their stepfather, or it could be their uncle. So these are some of their past issue, and then it sits. They have grew up with this. Life, right? And sometimes they might have thought that they have got over it and they have moved on with their life, but some of the issue actually sits at their subconscious mind. So and if they do not clear it, right, at certain point, right, these are still coming back and haunting them presently or maybe in future. Yeah. So sending to the past is try to heal on the emotional level. So we basically send the Reiki energy to these traumatic experiences. That means we send it to all these incidents that happened in the past, and then we try to help the receiver to clear the past. You know, so basically we try to bring up all these traumatic incident that sits in their subconscious mind. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't know. Bring it into their conscious mind so that they can address it. You know, because if it sits in the subconscious mind, it is not being aware by them, and they are also not aware of it. There's no way they can address it. Yeah, and this is also in a way to rebirth, kind of like rebirth, and try to help them to clear, you know, the issue that that was what they call that I guess the word is called haunting, you know, and sometimes how to put it, sometimes um, uh, the characteristic or their acting is based on that, and they don't even know, you know. Sometimes the people fear of for example, it could be people fear of height, people could fear of playing in the water. It could be because in a younger time they could have, example, the water, they could have almost drowned, you know, and then this sits into them, and they sometimes they might have thought that their past incident, but it's still there, you know. So this is, yeah, this is some of the example that, you know, that we're talking about the past traumatic experience. And we can also, okay, because in every year or every phase of life, right, we actually have experienced certain things. So we can also send to every year of our life. That means, or to the recipient person, right? And then once we send it to the every year or every 5 or 10 years, right, it will address those issues that what as a child, what we have gone through, or as a recipient, what they have gone through, and then we get them to get through the healing through sending it to the past, right? And then once all these services into their consciousness, then they will know how to address it. Yeah, yeah. This is one example. I mean, this is the example of sending to the past. At the same time, we also send it to the future and also send it to the present. Yeah, sending Reiki energy to the present and future. And example, the present and future is like we try to send to things like exams, meetings, you know, our travels, you know, surgery that is coming up, or interviews that is coming up, speeches, you know. So this is some of the example that we can send it to the future. Yeah. So like myself, I'm on very much on the corporate work, doing a lot of corporate emails, a lot of meetings, right? So like prior to pandemic, right, when I already started my Reiki prior to pandemic, prior to COVID, I have attended a lot of meetings, and then before I get to the meeting, some meetings, it could be a tough meeting, a negotiation meeting, and I know some of the people will give a very much challenges, so I will send it to the upcoming incident, you know. So I will send it. I will later will talk about what are the wordings, what are the information, what are the event. I will talk about it later, but now I just talk about what are areas I'm sending to, right? So I can send it to upcoming meeting, when is it happening, and then send it to the highest good of all, yeah. And then I also, and you know, from corporate work perspective, we have a lot of emails. So I also send, as I write the emails, I also do a 3-to-1 sending, so that I'll give a good outcome. Sometimes I do outcome in the sense that because some presentation, some session, some email is to seek for a good discussion in the next meeting, right? So I send it so that in preparation for a good outcome of the meeting. Yeah, yeah. And the other example on sending is Recently, I was on the trip, during pandemic, pandemic time, right? Basically, I don't get to travel at all. Me, family, not only me and family, most of people don't get to travel. So at one point, there was a time where the what you call the we call it the MCO, the limit, the movement control was lifted, and then everyone was very excited, to start making reservation for trips. So in the if you recall, in 20 somewhere in 20 end 2020, right, the first we call it MCO, the movement control order, right, was lifted. So everybody excited and get our trip. So I also get very excited to book our trip. Unfortunately, the second MCO came in, so somehow we managed to postpone our trip to the following year, which is somewhere end of 2020. So imagine I booked my trip in 2019 December, and I have to postpone in 2020. So when nearing the 2020 end of 2020, 2021 December, right? That is a couple of months back, and when the trip is coming up, right? So I was so concerned, somewhere in November that time, I'm not sure whether the trip will be on or not, and then at that time also, due to the pandemic, it's still not very stable, and then at the same time, as you know, in December there's heavy rain in the mountains, so what I did is I do a 3-2-1 sending for 3 days, right? I send it to what you call to a safe and comfortable trip to the Cameron, right? So, and then at the same time, I send it and I ask for guidance also, to give me the comfort that this is a good trip, to go for. And I was so surprised, during the sending, right? After I send, and then as I look up in the sky, right? So I was sending this many times, one in my house, and the one of the time also, as I was walking in my park, I also start standing, right, to this trip, right? And then as I woke up, I saw a bright sun came out from the sky. So it's like kind of give me some guidance, right, to say that, wow, it's a good, it's a good weather, it's a clear weather to go for the travel, right? So I was sending at that time, I think I was sending for a clear weather, for my traveling to Cameron, and the date was 22nd to 24th of December 2021, right? So yeah, I mean, it's quite amazing, right, to get that kind of feedback and a guidance, from the universe, yeah. And this is also an example of sending it to the future. And the other example was, there was a time when I was doing there was a time when my daughter was going for interview when she was in UK, right? So at that time, I was a bit concerned. I was really hoping that she can get an interview for internship in UK, right? So yeah, this incident actually I wanted to share, and maybe I take the opportunity to share what is the label that that I've been giving to her, right? So just give me a couple of minutes and just show you the label that so it was to and oh yes, so it was this label, yeah, so I was sending it to the event of my daughter Nicole Liao Yi Xuan intern job interview with Sony UK on 25th of March 2019, be it to her higher school. So I was sending it for 3 days before the interview, and then of course the result typically will come in. It won't come in so fast, right? It will come in like a couple of weeks later. So when I was sending this, it was in, can you imagine, it was in 25th March 2019. So it's very important, 2019. And then the job offers is actually in middle of 2019, that means June 2019. So and she didn't get it, right? So we were a bit disappointed, yeah, she didn't get the interview. And remember, I was saying that it is to the highest good, right? So, and so I leave it, yeah. So I mean, that time I already started going into the practice, and I already have trust that the universe has best outcome for her, right? So she didn't get, and then what happened is, because this is internship, is for intern to the second year, so it's like a sandwich, right? She completed 2 years. If she get the intern, she will have to do an intern for 1 year, and then she'll start doing the third year after the intern. So imagine if she gets this job, right? She will do the internship from middle of 2019 to mid of 2020, which June 2020, and then she will have to start the third year in August 2020. So if you get my scenario, right, if she were to get this job, right, meaning that she would have been stuck in UK while doing the internship during pandemic. So pandemic happened somewhere in, officially it was declared pandemic in March 2020. So by 2020, because she did not get this internship, by 2020 she already almost completing her third year, which is completing her degree. So it did not impact much on her graduation. I mean, her final year study. She only left with 1 quarter, and then she came back and finished her quarter. So she completed her study in 2020, right? In 2020. So imagine if she get this internship, right? Potentially she might not be able to do the final year. I'm not sure. She could have to skip 1 more year, or she have to do the whole 2020 third year all remotely. Yeah, and because of that, she managed, and because she also did not get this internship, right? She worked very hard, and then she ended up with a first class for her degree. So I was very, very proud of it. And you see, when we set it to the highest good, doesn't mean that when we send it, so very clear, doesn't send it meaning that you have to be successful in the interview, right? Because if she were to successful, it might not be to her highest good, right? To her best of the outcome. So this is very, very important, right? And I really love to share this story. This is one of the stories that I shared many times with many people, that sometimes universe have something that is set for us in our mind. And that's the reason when we send, we have to be very clear, the intent very clear, and also we have go with a pure heart, and then and the love, and with a love, and with a love and joy, yeah. And this is a very good example that like I mentioned again, to send it to the future, and then also the protection phrase is very important. Yeah. So when we send, when we do the sending to the present or future, right? It's the same thing, right? We actually cup it, we do like a cupping to the what you call to the label, and then this label, for example, we have this label, right? So we cup our hand. Of course, like I mentioned, I put it on my lap so to be comfortable, and then I draw the symbol 3, 2, 1. So Hon Sha, Seiki, and then and Shokari. Of course, I draw it, and then I mention it 3 times over the label, and then occasionally I do it for this, we do it 15 minutes, and then occasionally we do symbol 2, 1 and symbol 2, 1, and then of course we chant it also, Seiki, Shokari, Seiki, Shokari, and then we leave it for about 15 minutes for the energy to flow, right? And again, remember that what you call whatever the outcome is, we accept it with the open heart. Yeah, we accept it as what is given to us, and the example that I give you is very important. Yeah. Other example that I would like to share to see whether sending to the past and present, right? Past and So maybe to the present. Let me have a look. So event of the future also, yes, the other one is also example. Another example of event to the future, I also send it, like for example, to harmonious. This is another example. Yeah. So to the harmonious and enlightening Reiki 3 class at D25 to Miami Condo, Penang on the August 4th, 5th, to be it to the highest good of all. So this is also sending it to a event in the future, right? So it's like sending it to the future, future requirement. So this is one, also the other example that I would like to share, like, yeah. Another event is just now the one I mentioned, to the family trip, to our family trip, the one in Cameron. And then the other one is also, I do actually send it to the present. That means as I mentioned, I do a work, so it's like a present event. So I have a tender that's going on, so I also do send that things to the perfect resolution of my tender of a certain project, right? So be it to our highest good. Yeah. So this is also, another example that I have sent it. Yeah. And maybe let me move on to the further, then I can talk more on the affirmation, right, statement. So the fifth usage, right, of Honsha is sending to harmonize relationship, or to heal karma, or maybe affirmation, for some affirmation and also concept, right? So basically, is sometimes we are not very clear about our affirmation, right? So my recommendation is, especially when you start, even up to now, I still write my affirmation, right? So you see there's stacks of affirmation, stack of labels. I would say not affirmation but labels, right? I still write it because we want to have the right wordings for the labels or the affirmation, right? We want it to be positive. We want it to be present stance. We want it positive. We want it to have the right context, the right context and right intent, right? And then we want to be careful with our affirmation that we do not manipulate with it. Yeah. And of course, we also want the protection phase. So we want it to be positive. We want it to be present tense. We want it to be no manipulation, and then we also want it to be with the protection phase, right? So because affirmation is very strong, and if we put in the right affirmation, right, we will get the right with the right intent, right? And sometimes if you put the wrong intent, right, you will find that it might bite you back in return, like some example, like when you want to do example, you want to have a powerful let's say, for example, I give you example, let's say at my in example, a simple thing that I can think of, like the example I give you about my daughter being the interview, right? If I put it has to be successful and no protection phase, and then I continue to send and make sure that she is successful getting an interview. So the outcome, that she'll be potentially stuck there during the pandemic time. She probably cannot finish the third year, So example, the way when we send it, if we are too manipulative and we are too hard on it, it will hit us harder, right? You are hard on the demand and expectation, right? The reverse of it will also be doubly hard, yeah, triply hard, yeah. So this is also the example of what I want to give it as a caution, yeah. And I mentioned the affirmation has to be present tense, positive, and the best is also one at a time. Like, you don't put too many things in one affirmation, yeah. And also example of or maybe I can also give other example to the relationship. For example, other types of how we write affirmation or label for a relationship. So maybe one of the example that I will show is I think being a daughter-in-law, in the Chinese family, we always have challenges with our in-laws, and it's also tougher when the parents-in-law are staying with myself, right? So I had my parents-in-law has been staying with me for 20 over years, and it's not an easy route. Of course, earlier years we try to accommodate, we try to tolerate, but at certain points I think everyone will hit their kind of their tolerance level, and then as it goes further, I think the relationship does not it doesn't progress well, and then to a point where we are not seeing much eye to eye, we don't talk to each other much, and then we get a lot of challenges issue. Yeah, so as I embark into this journey of Reiki, right, one of the things that I learned is to send Reiki energy to harmonize the relationship. Yeah, certain things we might not be able to change, but also there are a few areas that we can help to smooth the what you call our relationship, right? So one of the sending that I've done is example, just give me a minute. Okay, I'm also, yeah, so I did the perfect solution, right? Let me see, do a recovery, and I have many yeah, so I did one that I have to perfect resolution. I did one, now I cannot find, to a perfect yes, this is the one. So one of the example I did this to a few. So I was sending to a perfect resolution between my parents-in-law, and then the name, and between them and me and my husband, and may the energy be used for our highest good. Yeah, this is one example. And then as I go through the resolution, I mean, it's also not really improving. I mean, it did get better. Then I realized that at one point we were suggesting that the parents-in-law were to do some rotation, staying with other siblings rather than just full-time 360 days with us, right? 365 days with us. Yeah, so then I realized that my father-in-law doesn't want to leave our place, just want to stick in our house, but even that they're not happy. So what I did was I sent this, yeah, and then I sent it to my father-in-law, which is now able to let go whatever holding him back in staying back in Penang. So maybe that could be something that is holding him back, that he's not willing to do any rotation because he's not willing to try new environment. So I say he's now able to let go. And then after of course not immediately, after a couple of months, yeah, my parents-in-law decided to do the rotation, and presently they are actually staying at my my brother-in-law's place. Yeah. So this is some of the example of the relationship that I send to. And the other one is also, we can also send to affirmation, right? Affirmation is things that what are the things that I can accept or not. So this is also another example related to the relationship also. Yeah. And it's saying that I accept my mother-in-law's the name and the way she is. So this is not so much for them, but for me, actually importantly, it's not only for them, right? When we send certain things, it's also for me to accept, right? So I also accept, and I happily embrace her action to be it to the highest good. So you see, it slowly gets, I mean, it slowly gets the strain, the stress to be more relaxed, and people gets to be more, how to put it, more acceptable, more acceptable, and more able to let go in both ways, me and them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is the example of sending it to how we can send to harmonize relationship, to affirmation that we need. As I send it to the recipients, right? As the senders, is also helped me. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to put it through, right? Yeah. Because as we send, we send some energy out to the recipient, we also receive. So we send one, we also receive one. Yeah. So I think that is the benefit of coming. I mean, the good coming back to us. Yeah, as a sender. Also, the other one is also when we do the sending, we also sending for the highest good, right? And remember not to take care of their affairs. That means if there's some issue, we actually send it for the highest good. So we also not interfering with their issue. We do not want to meddle with their issue from that perspective, right? I think that's that's what we as a sender has to be also very aware and careful. Yeah, that we don't interfere with their life. Yeah. And we can also send it to what we call concept, right? Means like a general concept. For example, we can send it to this is part of the fifth usage, right, that I'm talking about. Example in the Reiki group, right, like every noon, every day they send it to the world peace. And now there's pandemic, COVID, all that, right, people send it. And recently with this Russian-Ukraine issue, so you can also send it to the world peace, the world environment. So you can write a statement, write some label, and then you send it 3 times, and then once you are sending it 3 times, right, you can put it into the box again and then send it as a group, right? So every certain time you can, whenever you're comfortable, like world peace, they tend to send it, let's say noon time, but whenever you're comfortable, you can send it. And recently there's cases on all the flood in Malaysia and Australia. Yeah, you can also send it to that. Yeah. Sometimes some general one, example of some other general affirmation is you can also send it to a perfect solution or of your job scope, So for my daughter, where we said Megan is now enjoying her career and job. So it's like a general statement to Megan having and enjoying her present career. Yeah. And if you look at it in the affirmation, you can even put a symbol onto the label to empower the affirmation, right? So this is an example. Yeah. And other affirmation is that I do is, let me see. The other affirmation is also recently I was looking for a interior design, so I also did this. I now found a perfect interior ID design for my condo. Yeah. So may the energy be used for our highest good. Yeah. So example, some of the general affirmation, and we also can be more specific. We also can send Reiki to the cause of something. Yeah. So example, right? It can be sent to the cause of a sickness or cause of an issue. So example for myself, right? At one time I was having a sharp pain on my left hip, and I was doing a lot of hands-on treatment on myself, self treatment, and then it never get away. So what I did was I sent to the cause. Yeah. So basically, it's like to the cause of my left hip pain, and be it to my highest good. And after that, there's an image came out while I was doing the sending, and after the sending for a few times, and then the hip disappeared. But because the image came out, so we can also send it to the incident, to the incident of the shadow or the woman that is stepping on my left hip. Yeah. And I am letting go of the event, be it to my highest good. So I'm kind of letting it go, So it could happen in the past or in my past life, Yeah, we don't know. But then now the hip pain no more. So yeah, thank thanks to Reiki. Yeah, so we can we can send to the root cause of certain things. Like for example, like mine was a left pain. We can also send a root cause to my acid reflux. I do that also. We also other people, example, they have smoking, the addiction to smoking, or that you can send it to the root cause of the addiction to smoking, addiction to chocolates, addiction to whatever addiction I know, or workaholic, you know. So yeah, or you can even send it to the root cause of my fear of heights, phobia on heights, you know. So these are some of the example that we can send to. And let me see whether there's any other labels that I can share. So basically I have all these labels, right, that I've done it, like I mentioned, right. So if those that I continue and after the sending of 3 times individually I still want to do it, I will collect it and I put it on this my envelope, and then I'll do a group sending. And under the other 6 usage, the number 6 usage of Reiki sending is also we can do communing with others, not communicating, communing. So commune means is to be in a state of intimacy, or in a state of intimate or heightened, or we can hide up our sensitivity with one surrounding, or it could be one essence, you know. So for example, I give you a terms like hikers, the people that like to hike the mountain, they communing with the nature. That means they go and be in the state or close state with the nature, right? And communing also, people can possibly in touch with some essence, like some healing power, very powerful healing power, like Jesus, Buddha, you know. Or some people believe in the moon, the stars, you know. So they can actually commune with some essence, you know, or some healing power, some higher what we call it, the higher entity. So how do you commute? Okay, when you want to do commute, right, you basically, to commute, you put your hands on the top of each other. That means you do it this way to commute, and then close your eyes, and then you visualize the subjects. Or you can use a photo. So if you want to commute, let's say with certain plants, or you want to commute with, let's say, a Buddha example, right? Then you just actually draw, and then you put it, and then you draw 3, 2, 1, because it's connecting to his third eye, if you can have the third eye, or you can look at the energetic body. And then when you do a simple 3, 2, 1, of course you chant it 3 times, like Honsha, 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 Seiki, 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 and Shokere, Shokere, Shokere. And then you call the name. That means either call the name of, let's say, the Buddha, and 3 times, and then you ask the permission to commune with him, and say, my heart center now correspond to the heart center of the Buddha, to be in my highest good. So basically, be it to my highest good. And then you can stay meditative at the meditative stage, quiet, meditative for maybe a minimum of 15-20 minutes. And if you think that you need more, you can continue, you can stay longer. So this is communing, not communication again, communing. Usually people do a communing with usually maybe nature, plants, or a higher entity like Jesus, Buddha, you know, to feel the essence of it, you know, to be in the state with them. This is communing with others. And then number 7, which one of the final usage of Honsha is, and when I mention Honsha, right, is you have to do it with 3, 2, 1. Honsha actually has a very close affinity with spine, our human back spine. So we can actually draw the Honsha, what they call the Honsha symbol onto the back of our body, right? So let me show it to you with the drawing. Okay, let me show it with the drawing. Example. Okay, example. This is our body at the back of our body. So this is and this is the back of our neck. If you look at it, right? So base of the skull, right? So the base of the skull is where you start the point to draw. So if you remember how you draw the Honsha, right? So the back of the point, and then you do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then at the 18, the one at the stroke is where you draw it on your tailbone. Yeah, on the tailbone, on the tailbone. And then you do the 19, 20, 21. So the 19, 20 is near your buttock. Yeah. So this is one example. This is one way to do the spinal. So basically, yeah, the easiest way is to get someone to draw it for you. So we can only draw on a person that is already has been initiated with the symbol too. Yeah, right. Sorry, with the Reiki too, with all the symbol. So you can't draw with someone that has not in. You can try to draw it with a. It's very difficult. You can try to use a pen to draw or a stick to draw on the back, but it's very difficult. So the best is to have someone that already practice the Reiki symbol too and draw it on ourselves, which we are also the person that's been initiated. So this will help to release some tension on the back, and also people has back spinal problem like myself. I have scoliosis. Actually, this is a very good treatment for me. I have scoliosis. Unfortunately, I don't have a person that can draw for me daily, but there's any opportunity, I would be more than happy to have people drawing it on my back. Yeah, it's not simple. It's not. I tried to use like a stick and then try to draw it and looking at the back of, using the mirror. Yeah, it's not that easy, but this is a very good way. It's a very good drawing on our back, and like I mentioned again, it has a strong affinity. Honsha has strong affinity with our spine. Yeah. These are all the 7 usage. So maybe I get this opportunity to run through the summary on Honsha again, right? So there's 7 major usage. The first is distant treatment healing. Second is distant mental deprogramming treatment. Third, send Reiki while treating others or ourselves. Fourth is send Reiki to concept, relationship, or affirmation. 6, communing with others. And 7, you can draw the Honsha symbol, which there you only use the symbol by itself on the spine for distressing or for centering, and because it has a very good affinity with our spine. Yeah, Honsha. Yeah. This kind of conclude my session for the 3rd symbol in Reiki 2, and just a few notes that I want to highlight again. So the secret or the essence to becoming a great 2nd degree practitioner is, one, always use the symbol with love and joy. Okay, always have clear and pure intention. Yeah, no malicious intent, no manipulation. Always have it to our highest good, for the highest good for ourselves, for the recipient, for whoever that's receiving it. And then you kind of, when you do it, you kind of make it alive, meaning that you do it as if that is, how to say, it's like it's not you don't make it as if like it's a textbook, but you make it alive. You can be practical, you can be, do it more, make sense to us and to the recipient. And the final advice is practice, practice, practice. That means the more we practice, the more we do it, the more we get, and the more it comes to us. So that comes on the conversation as we talk Reiki, we live Reiki, and we immerse in it. Yeah, basically. So it's like it become part of us, and Reiki become part of my daily life. So today I'm talking about it, I'm walking about it, I'm living the Reiki life. Yeah. If you are feeling that the Reiki tool is draining, if you do a lot of sending, right? So what we need to do is we need to keep ourselves at the top health. So basically, first thing is very important. Remember, put ourselves first. It's not about selfishness, it's about putting ourselves first before we can treat people. So meaning that when you look at the practices on Reiki, right, first we have to treat ourselves. So again, the 12 body position, the 1 hour position for ourselves is very important. We do our 1 hour treatment, be it whatever time in the day. For me, I do it mainly in the evening or in the morning. So do our own self-treatment, and if you feel that it's draining too much our energy, do not send to too many people at the same time, or too fast. You do it based on what you're capable of. Don't over stress ourselves, and never send to too many people without doing our own treatment. So we do not want to exhaust ourselves. Remember, put ourselves first before we can treat others. Yeah. That's the end of my session, and happy practicing and happy treating yourself. Thank you.